Welcome back, travelers. Today, we are in Boston, discussing all the stops along the Freedom Trail, a 2.5-mile path of red bricks winding through the city's cobblestone streets. It is more than a tour. It is a living thread sewn into the cloth of American independence. Established in 1951, the trail was the brainchild of journalist William Schofield and brought to life with the help of the city and the Boston Society. Today, it guides more than 4 million walkers annually through the birthplaces of revolution, resistance, and reason. For many, it begins from the Boston Common and ends at the Bunker Hill Monument. You begin at the oldest city park in the United States, established in 1634 as common pasture land. Before it became a leafy refuge for modern Bostonians, it was the scene of military drills, hangings, protests, and British encampments during the occupation of the city in the 1770s. It is, in essence, a cradle first of Puritan ideals, then of democratic passions. Designed by Charles Bulfinch and topped with a shimmering gold dome, this building has housed the Massachusetts legislature since 1798. It stands where John Hancock's cow pastures once lay. The land belonged to the state's first governor, and the golden dome was once made of wood, later sheathed in copper by none other than Paul Revere's foundry. Built at the corner of Brimstone and Treacle, as the old phrase goes, the church's 217-foot steeple was once the first thing travelers saw when approaching Boston. Here, abolitionist William Lloyd Garrison gave his first major anti-slavery speech in 1829, lighting a moral fuse just as volatile as a revolutionary musket. Step into quiet eternity. This colonial cemetery holds the bones of such titans as Paul Revere, Samuel Adams, John Hancock, and the victims of the Boston Massacre. Over 5,000 souls rest in the small plot, marked by weather-worn slate stones with winged skulls and solemn poetry carved by colonial hands. Founded by royalists and built on the city's first burial ground, King's Chapel straddles the line between monarchy and dissent. Though Anglican in origin, the chapel was later reformed into the first Unitarian congregation in America. Its interior remains largely original, complete with box pews and a 1756 organ commissioned from London. Though the original schoolhouse is gone, this is the site of America's oldest public school, founded in 1635. Franklin, a dropout, is honored here with a statue not far from where Puritan boys once memorized Latin declensions under threat of birch canes. This former apothecary turned literary landmark became the home of Ticknor and Fields, publishers of Hawthorne, Longfellow, Emerson, and Harriet Beecher Stowe. Though now a commercial site, the structure remains a ghost of Boston's 19th century literary heyday. If the Revolution had a church, this was it. Thousands gathered here to protest the Tea Act. On December 16, 1773, after fiery debate, Samuel Adams gave the signal, "This meeting can do nothing more to save the country." The Sons of Liberty marched to the harbor and dumped the tea. From the old State House, from its balcony, the Declaration of Independence was read to a roaring crowd on July 18, 1776. Before that, it housed the colonial government and later the Massachusetts Council. Out front, in March of 1770, British soldiers fired into a jeering crowd, killing 5 colonists in what became the Boston Massacre. Here at the Boston Massacre site, marked by a ring of stones near the old State House, this is where Crispus Attucks and 4 others fell. Though the incident was minor by modern standards, Paul Revere's engraving and Sam Adams' rhetoric turned it into an emblem of British tyranny. Here at Faneuil Hall, dubbed the Cradle of Liberty, Faneuil Hall served as a marketplace below and a meeting hall above. Patriots such as James Otis and Samuel Adams thundered against the crown from its rostrum. Today, it continues to serve the public, though it is now more likely to host food courts than revolutions. Here at the Paul Revere House, the oldest remaining structure in downtown Boston, the modest wooden home was where the silversmith and patriot lived during his famed midnight ride. Step inside to see the colonial furnishings and artifacts from Revere's life, including tools of his trade and family heirlooms. Here at the Old North Church, one if by land and two if by sea, the lanterns that signaled British troop movements were hung here on April 18, 1775. Revere did not climb the steeple himself, but the warning began here, and with it, the opening moments of the Revolutionary War. The church still holds services beneath its high white arches. This is where the Puritan elite were laid to rest, and where British troops once used gravestones for target practice. Among the buried are artisans, preachers, and enslaved Bostonians like Prince Hall, an early African-American abolitionist and founder of Black Freemasonry. Old Ironsides, the USS Constitution. Moored at the Charlestown Navy Yard, the USS Constitution was launched in 1797 and is the oldest commissioned warship still afloat. She earned her nickname during the War of 1812 when British cannonballs bounced off her thick oak hull. Visitors can walk her deck and speak to active duty Navy sailors who serve aboard her today. And finally, the Bunker Hill Monument. Our trail ends atop the hill that gave the name to the first major battle of the Revolution. Though most of the fighting actually occurred on nearby Breed's Hill, the monument, a 220-foot granite obelisk, honors those who fell on June 17, 1775, in a fight that proved the colonial militias could stand toe-to-toe with the British regulars. Bunker Hill, site of the first major battle of the Revolutionary War. In July, I think it was June or July of 1775. Yeah, you got Bunker Hill here, and then you have Boston over there. Kind of went that way. But yeah, that's south, east, north, and you got west. But yeah, this is Bunker Hill. Pretty cool. Beautiful day. And finally, to walk the freedom trails to trace a nation's trembling first steps towards independence, through graveyards and meeting halls, across cobbles where blood once spilled, and past doors flung open in resistance. It's not just a path, it's a narrative in stone and brick, in bronze plaques and whispered echoes. And until next time, travelers, thanks for watching.